Now, of course, we're joined now as we continue to discuss around the topic of mental health and resilience with the new book out called Use Your Voice. Harriet Bremner joins us now. Welcome back to the show, Harriet. This is exciting. You've got a lot of pent-up children's books in you, and but this one's very, very special.
Yeah, hi Sarah. Thanks for having me again. This one is super special because it came from a place of my own battle with some mental health and well-being stuff myself. So when I actually wrote the book, I was, struggling with some things, and it really helped me. And this is why I've written the book, so that I'm targeting children, but also the adults that are reading the story with the children as well.
Yeah, and so it's such a special, for those who didn't catch our introduction, tell us a little bit more about the story of Jess the Black Huntaway and how her gorgeous friend Pops comes along to let her out of her mental trap, which you've used as a kennel, and get back to what she loves.
Yeah, so the power of this story, use your voice here, there's Jess and Poppy on the front there with the beautiful Mount Cook in the background, is that we want to increase awareness of social inclusion and decrease the discrimination against mental health and well-being that we do have in this country. And, the whole point that it is okay to be not okay. And so I took myself off to 2 of the Will to Live evenings, actually, to see Ali and you guys there and everybody speaking, and was completely blown away. And well, by the strength and courage and resilience of people actually sharing their stories. And the most resilient thing that I ever did was to stand up and say that I wasn't okay anymore. And up until that point, I'd always thought that resilience was walking out the door, putting a smile on your face and being okay. But I've really realised that it's not. And growing up in a culture where we tend to bottle things up, and they, as Poppy tells Jess in the story, they fester and stew, which in the end isn't very good for anyone involved. So Poppy's teaching Jess, the Black Huntaway in the story, some self-help strategies for keeping her mental health and well-being on track. And so then it's teaching our children through the powerful form of storytelling how important it is to learn how to look after ourselves, surround yourselves with a really good tribe of people that are very supportive, that you can trust with these things that you want to talk about, or sometimes don't want to talk about but need to. And, so that moving forward, as our children grow into young adults, and for example, you might have a young 18-year-old going to their first shepherding job and they're up a very isolated gully. Well, how cool is it to think that they've learnt some strategies growing up of how to deal with their mental health when they hit a rough patch. It could be that first step of going to talk to their boss about the fact that they're not feeling 100% at the moment. So if we can create these strategies for our children to learn and change the behaviour, which then in turn changes our culture over time, then I think that would be fantastic.
Congratulations. It's an absolutely beautiful book, as is the first one, Think Safe. And of course, while I have you here, I do want to touch on a point that gravely concerns me. And I know that you work for Safer Farms as an organisation, and your passion for health and safety on farm and improving that, because we certainly need to. There's really trying times at the moment, Harriet, with a labour shortage in the agricultural contractors. And I know, sadly, your former partner, James, passed away in an accident on farm. What were the key messages that you'd like to get out there to those who have become complacent, are fatigued, to take their time to use that Think Safe brain?
Yeah, look, so we've really been forced into believing that health and safety is something that we tick on a box on a piece of paper and we chuck it in the filing cabinet because that's our health and safety done and dusted. And it was an extra thing that we did on a rainy day. And I'm really working really hard to make people aware that actually health, safety and well-being is something that's threaded into everything that we do every day. It's not an extra thing. It shouldn't be extra work, because why do we not want to go home alive or uninjured at the end of every workday? That's what everybody should want. So it just baffles me that we still see the eye rolling and the sighs and the begrudging, not interested in talking about it, when we're talking about people here. And we know that people are the most important part of our farming operations. Without the people, we don't have an operation that can work. And the thing that worries me the most about the shortages with staff and things is that I think the first thing that's going to drop off somebody's routine is their exercise, their hobby, their time with their family on a Sunday afternoon, which are all things that are really, really good for us to recharge so that actually we can then work in a more productive way. But if these things are dropping off when we most need them, because usually when you don't feel like exercising, that's when you most need to do it, and it makes you feel so much better afterwards. This is concerning because people are then going to be working longer hours. They're going to get tired, possibly not eating and sleeping as well. Sleep falls off the wagon because we're starting to worry about how am I actually going to fit in everything I've got to do tomorrow because I don't have help. So it would be really great to think that people are able to actually ask for help, from their family, from friends, from neighbours, jump on across the fence and help the person next to you, and then they can come and help you as well. And before you do a job, stop and think about it. It's really simple. Just stop and think, do I need to do this right now, or can this wait till tomorrow? So prioritising and things like that. So it's just weaving it into every day and just making practical decisions to keep ourselves safe.
And of course, we're talking to Harriet Bremner. She's a children's author of the latest book, Use Your Voice. Harriet, how's it been received across the schools that you've been recently visiting as well?
Yeah, so we've just started going into some rural schools and spending some time with the children. The children, of course, love meeting a real-life sausage dog, which is pretty cool. But, the thing that blows me away is the enthusiasm that the children have for talking about these things. And, children are at that moldable stage in their lives where they're like sponges. They want to learn new things, but they also haven't been affected by the expectations of society or what society puts, the stigmas attached to things. So you talk about looking after themselves on the farm when they're out and about with mum and dad and things, and they'll tell you about not walking under the forks of the tractor if they're up, always put them on the ground because X, Y, and Z. They can tell you that exercise is important, and they actually really want to learn how to look after themselves, how to look after their friends, and also, they want mum and dad to come home safe and sound at the end of every day as well. So if we can change these behaviours and get our children understanding that it's so important that it's just a part of everyday business, then they are our future farmers, they're our future contractors, they're the future in ag, and then, they will be teenagers and adults that know that it is a super important part of everyday farming.
I know there'll be a burning question out there from our audience. How do we get our hands on a copy of Use Your Voice?
So if you go to www.gertenpops.com, then you can order straight off me online. And I know that ag companies quite like to buy in bulk sometimes to hand out to their staff. So I do have a wholesale option as well for people that do big orders. So we basically we want to get the message spread as far and wide as possible, because mental health and wellbeing is something that inevitably we're all going to come across in our lives at some stage, for whatever reason that might be. So it's something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the good, clear message in the story is how to help others. And that's something that we're all grappling with on how to do as well. And of course, Use Your Voice does that so well. Thank you, Harriet, for everything that you do for this industry. It was an absolute pleasure to have you tonight on Sarah's Country. Of course, Harriet Bremner, Use Your Voice.
This is Sarah's Country.